My name is Stephen Prosser. Alongside my wife, Maggie Prosser, we are Hazard Coffee Company. We're a specialty coffee shop located in downtown Hazard, Kentucky. I mainly run the coffee science, day-to-day operations, while Maggie handles all the social media, catering events, big picture stuff, as well as being a full-time mom. So she's actually, that's why I'm here alone, because she's coaching T-ball right now with our resident potion-making expert, Lincoln. So, go Dodgers. We're fortunate enough that we have 8 awesome part-time staff. It's been truly a pleasure to watch their coffee journey and education and just how they resonate with the community throughout this time. I'm not from Kentucky, but Maggie's from Hazard. And we ended up moving out of Hazard after I graduated from UK, and we had a 5-year plan that we'd figure out some way to move back to Kentucky. Really hard with the geology profession and not really an abundant job opportunity. So in the summer of 2020 during COVID, we actually drove from Texas back to Hazard and spent the summer there. And it was just so incredibly overwhelming to see the change that you could really feel in the air, just what was going on, that initial revitalization. We were going to the farmer's market twice a week, every week, the things that are happening at the Arts Alliance, and there was a new bookstore in town, and you could really feel it. And we said, if there's any way that we can get back to Kentucky, even Hazard, we've got to figure it out. Well, when we decided to drive back home, on that drive, I actually ended up getting laid off from my job. And so we said, well, I guess this is it. Let's put all of our effort and all of our money into it and really focus on trying to bring that piece of the puzzle that we think Hazard really needs. It didn't have a coffee shop. I liked coffee at the time, and now I love it. And so we put all of our effort into it to really make a space that we felt like Hazard deserves, a beacon of hope and growth and community and support that people can come and hang out. And in addition to that, give them a world-class experience. People are used to getting certain things, but if they have a unique product and it's really good, then they're going to come back to it. So how did we do that? In addition to making a space that we felt people were comfortable in, that they felt transported and taken away, that they didn't feel like they were in Hazard, we decided to really go super specific and offer a globally unique setup that you can't really get anywhere else. And so what I mean by that is we use decent espresso machines, which are they offer real-time pressure, temperature, flow profiling. You'll be hard-pressed to find them in any coffee shop in the world. I think I know of about 10 of us in the world that use them exclusively, and we can make anything modular on them. It's absolutely incredible. We also are now a nano roastery, so we have a fully data-driven approach that we attack coffee and roasting with that allows us to fully manipulate everything we want, especially on an ILO bullet, allowing us to small batch roast coffee. So we started in 2021, and we really wanted to focus on making this place that people came, they felt, just transported, because most of the surviving businesses in this region are large corporations and fast food restaurants and chains. Small businesses really haven't been thriving as much, so you really needed to grasp your community and get that buy-in from them, and we focused on that really hard, especially in the little things like our logo and our name. Because if you can get them to change their routine because they haven't had to do it a different way, and you give them an experience they're not used to, and it's high quality and world class, then they're going to come back and spend their money with you. And so I think by our growth chart, you can see that we've had tremendous expansion, substantial growth year 1, 2, and 3. And in that regard, we want to make sure that our community feels supported the way that they support us. So as of last year, 70% of our expenses were put back in our local economy, whether it's me driving a pantry shelf every day to get donuts, or all the local food that we use, the payroll we have, the staff that we put on, local merchandise that's produced. We try to do everything local first. Now, our market, like I said, there isn't much small business, especially in terms of coffee shops. This is a 50-mile radius outside of Hazard, and there are counties in eastern Kentucky that don't have a single coffee shop. And if they do, it's usually partnered with another business that was the original business in a way to maybe drive sales for the original business. So we know that there's a wide market of specialty coffee, and we know that it's desired because we routinely have people driving an hour and a half away to come back and get coffee because they don't really get it where they usually are. Even though there's a Starbucks in our town, it's inside of a food city. Even Whitesburg just got one, but we know that that's more of a hindrance because anytime you're going to add another barrier to get your product, it's going to make it harder on them. So if you can give them something that they truly want, we know that there's a large untapped market. We actually cater a significant amount of bulk coffee, but a large request for that is trying to get something beyond bulk coffee. So we travel to all these cities that do have some sort of coffee, and we're able to give them a different experience. What would we do? Well, we need to go mobile. We'd start small, just like we start Hazard Coffee Company, start small and expand and test the market. So we would add more equipment. We would add decent espresso machines because they are have the ability to make coffee in public. And at some point, we're going to reach a maximum capacity in our current location, and we need to find a way to increase the Hazard Coffee Company footprint across the region and really give them what we've been giving our own community. They are a large bulk cost. It will be about $9,000 for 2 machines, which we will need because they're a little bit slow. But we feel like we've done a good job saving equipment from our expansion, adding multiple things and saving money to add the other pieces to the puzzle that really all we're waiting on to go on this new venture is just those espresso machines. And so with that, we do feel we can continue to enrich not only our region, but our region outside and even further along, because we're routinely turning down events, festivals, things where people don't necessarily want to drink black coffee, they want espresso-based drinks. So we know that we can, even if we just went out 3 days a week, we could easily increase our current sales by about 60% from day one when we start that new venture, which then further allows us to increase the amount of money that we can put locally, hiring more staff, more food, anything like that. So I want to thank you all for listening. It's been truly a pleasure. There's also coffee on the side if you want some, and locally roasted coffee, please have all of it. Thank you so much.
Just quick, thank you for the presentation. Great job. Maybe elaborate a little bit more why you didn't go the franchise route versus, independent.
Like why I didn't buy a Starbucks, is that what you mean?
Yes. Process for that.
It doesn't feel like I would have felt comfortable making something that wasn't our own, right? It didn't. When you're in Hazard, you feel like people are really trying to bring it together, and that it's really the small town business that's really going to make it thrive, especially when you go on Main Street. And if you haven't been to a place like Hazard or a place like Whitesburg, it is kind of hard to grasp that feeling, because if you can give the community a piece of you and they know it's you that's doing it, and it's not just a big corporation, it's not a quick cash grab, they're really going to buy in, and they're going to keep coming back because they see you working there and they see what you're doing to it. We routinely get people that are just excited to see you behind bar and just excited to have it. They resonate with the name Hazard Coffee Company more because it's them, right? It represents them as a community as opposed to just the Starbucks. The Starbucks was there before we got there, and we've poached their employees. We routinely go in there, there's nobody in there, and I think that they want that because they want their community to survive.
Thank you. I have one question too. When you talked about your funding needs up there on the screen, and it was the mobile startup.
Yes.
In my mind, is it this mobile startup?
Oh, sorry. It's like a cart, essentially. Those machines have a small footprint, so you can put them on a little cart, kind of. It's a step below. They also come in suitcases. It's really modular. It's really easy to transport with a small footprint. It's a step below going to more of, a dedicated truck, just it's an even larger upfront cost, and so we can easily do it, cater these events, really test the market, travel really easily, because what we learned is doing it in small steps is really manageable, and then you can learn from your mistakes on a smaller scale and then expand. Because we started the coffee shop in a 256 square foot space, teeny tiny, before we moved to a larger one.
So I am an admitted coffee snob and love coffee.
Wonderful.
So I look forward to visiting you all. If you can tell me, when you first started, you probably knew like your cost of goods was this much and margin might have been that much.
Yeah.
Since you've been in business and you've got customers and revenue, what have you learned in terms of reducing your cost to increase margin?
I have found that payroll is really expensive. And you really need, for something like coffee, you really need to invest in your employees. And so with that, you have to cut costs other ways, which for us, it was actually more of fuel to get better at making coffee. for example, roasting coffee. We were buying coffee from another local roaster, but that was something that we really wanted to do ourselves. And so even though it was a large upfront cost in year 2, it's now reducing our overhead so we can add more employees and especially increase the ability for them to do more, not necessarily behind bar, but otherwise. It also makes us really study what quality of product we want to put, for example, the coffee in. We were using really expensive cups because it seemed that's what the industry really wanted you to use, but there were other cups that were just as environmentally friendly, but a little bit less expensive. So really like following the trends, but finding the diamond in the rough beneath the trend to still go with your core values and save money.